Welcome, everyone who is online and all of you who are out there. You are spreading hope in my heart. I always wonder when I come now if there'll be just like one person, Lou, in the front row. But this is wonderful. Thank you. And thank you all. So I would like any who are visiting now to introduce themselves so that we can greet you. If you would like, you don't have to. Yes. Mary, Fran, and Jack Bennett. I'm telling people online. Great. Well, welcome. They've lived in Prescott for 11 years? 11 years. Okay, welcome. Welcome. Yes. Oh. Oh, wonderful. We've exchanged emails. Welcome, Tracy. It's Tracy Powers. And now, while you Gabe, do you want Gabe? Welcome. Welcome, Gabe, the son of Chris Hawthorne and Tracy Augustine is here. Yay! What happiness. Okay, now I would like to invite you to greet each other while I greet people online. Okay, I am greeting Mary Ann Clark. Hi, Karen. Do you have your Chiweenie with you? And Bob and Marilyn, and your son, and Jim Robinson, and Anna Bess, and Lydia. Lydia, is Yvonne still with you? No, okay, okay. Welcome. And then we have, let me see, I'm trying to see. Can't see anyone else. Oh, and for those of you in the room, if you want to wave at people on Zoom, you can do so by looking at that camera over there. I think, Craig, I can't move this over. Here we go. I'm sorry, you guys, I can't see any more than the first row. But know that you are very welcome here among us. She has spotlit me, and that is causing problems. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here on Martin Luther King Sunday. Oh, and I can see you all behind me. That's fabulous. Okay, if I can read things that far. There's Jackie Hurst, welcome, and Warren and Bronwyn, and Hugh and Norma, and Jerry Carley, and Bobby Bollinger, and Suki, and Tom and Paula, Barbara Wilson, and Ria, hi Ria, and hi Barbara. There's another Barbara, and Ray, and Deidre, and Sue, and Charlotte, and Briggy, and and Dee, you're here, and Karen and Merle, and then a phone number. I'm so happy. Whoever you are behind that phone number, welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone. And so thank you. And welcome to Sally Richards, who just came in. Hi. And Cindy Pierce, and Lou, and Jim. Yay. Wow. Remember, for almost 2 years, we've just been, we've just been online, and it is still a minor miracle to experience you all in person. Welcome, welcome. And if you ever want to wave at those who are on Zoom, please do so looking at that camera over there. that is coming out of the, is it an iPad? Okay. So let us ring our peace bowl. We ring this bowl today, especially for the energy that comes to us, even with the thought of Martin Luther King Jr. and the thought of that civil rights movement. We also ring it in acknowledgement that these lands that we love, where we love to hike, and we love to maybe just in this cold weather, just sit from our cars and watch the sunset, that these lands are the ancestral lands of the Yavapai people, of the Wipukepas, the Tolkepayas, the Cuevkepayas, and the Yavapai. And now let us listen to A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke.
Good morning, everyone. What a delight it is to see everyone here on so many different levels. Great to see you all. Welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. I am Leslie Grady, your worship associate today, and I'm honored to be among you on this very special hybrid service. We extend a warm welcome to all and are so happy you can join us. We hope you are in good health. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world in which we live. If this is your first visit, welcome. More information about our community can be found at our Visitors Cafe table or on the website, prescottuu.org, as well as chatting with some members here today. Again, welcome. Thank you to Mary Lou Prince, our choir director, Lena Huben, our pianist, our wonderful choir, as well as all the other volunteers helping today. Please take a moment to silence your phones and put them on worship mode. Before we begin our service, there are a few announcements. We are an active community and there are quite a few programs and events to participate in. So please check the weekly peak, our website, the order of service, and Reverend Patty's videos for announcements. Well, tomorrow, Monday, is MLK Day. Please read the bulletin for information on the march starting at 10 o'clock and the program following at the United Methodist Church, as well as volunteer opportunities all day. And there will be a workshop on Wednesday, January 26th from 2 to 4 titled Courage for Racial Justice, Courage for Collective Liberation, presented by Chris Crass. Please read more about it in today's order of service. We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting the chalice. This morning, we light this chalice for all those still working towards equal rights. The chalice reading today is New Day's Lyric by Amanda Gorman. This is the poem she's written for this new year. May this be the day we come together. Mourning, we come to mend. Withered, we come to weather. Torn, we come to mend. Battered, we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. Steadily, we vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward. This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it, to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what was normal, but reach toward what is next. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Those fortunes we forswore, now the future we foresee. Where we weren't aware, we're now awake. Those moments we missed are now these moments we make. The moments we meet and our hearts, once all together beaten, now all together beat. Come look up with kindness yet, for even solace can be sourced from sorrow. We remember not just for the sake of yesterday, but to take on tomorrow. We heed this old spirit. In a new day's lyric, in our hearts we hear it. For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne. Be bold, sang time this year. Be bold, sang time. For when you honor yesterday, tomorrow ye will find. Know what we fought need not be forgot, nor for none. It defines us. It binds us as one. Come over, join this day just begun, for wherever we come together, we will forever overcome.
This week, I have been feeling how blessed I am as a Unitarian Universalist minister, because there are so many sources I can draw upon. As my colleagues who preach in other Christian churches, they must always be looking to the holy books for their inspiration. But as Unitarian Universalists, our sources are many. And later in this service, we will hear from Maya Angelou. We have just heard from Amanda Gorman. We will also hear from the young people who did that hard work of desegregating schools in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And as Unitarian Universalists, we are empowered to find truth everywhere. And we are encouraged to find it within ourselves. In 2016, Mary Lou and I were commissioned to write a song for an international conference on spirituality and peace. And when we met with one of the organizers, he urged us to see peace not as a faraway dream, but as a reality. These are the words that I wrote to Mary Lou's music. Cindy Pierce will read them to open our service today, where we are wanting to envision that peace is among us. Let us listen to We Are One.
Can you feel the heavens open wide? Through the clouds, we find a different world, dispelling shadows in our minds, sending all our fears away. In that vision, nothing separates. We can see the way to reach ahead. Hands taking hands that once were closed, finding peace to heal the earth. We have the strength to make it so. Open your hearts and minds to peace. Take my hand into yours. Fears dissolve into freedom. We are one. We all belong in this circle. No more fear, only love. Peace is here when we see it. Now is the time to see what is true. Peace is in our hands.
Can you feel the heavens open wide? Through the clouds we find a different world, dispelling shadows in our minds, sending all our fears away. In that vision nothing separates. We can see the way to reach ahead. Hands taking hands that once were closed, finding peace to heal the earth. We have the strength to make it so. Open your hearts and minds to peace. Take my hand into yours. Fears dissolve into freedom. We are one. We are one. All belong in this circle. No more fear. All belong. Peace is here when we see it. Now is the time to see what is true. Peace is in our hands. In that vision, nothing separates. We can see the way to reach across. Hands taking hands that once were closed, finding peace to heal the earth. We have the strength to make it so. Open our hearts and minds to peace. Take my hand into yours. Fears dissolve into freedom. We are one. We are one. All belong in this circle. No more fear. All belong. Peace is here when we see it. Now is the time to see what is true. Peace is in our hands.
I would like a big hand for our choir who sang out in the cold for you. We listened to how you who are with us online couldn't hear the choir when we were singing outside. And so we, and for all of these months, for many of the past months, our choir and marvelous director and pianist have been braving the cold so that we could continue to sing. Thank you all. Now I invite you, let us say our covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. And now we will have a message from our music director.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Prince, and I'm the music director here at Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I've been here since August of 2019, and it is really a joy for me to be doing the work that I do. In addition to choosing music for Sunday services, I work with our choir and Lena Huben, who is our wonderful accompanist, and I just love working with the choir. I look forward to every week when we can have rehearsals together. And everybody has been so flexible during this time of having to sometimes be on Zoom, or we have to be outside in the cold, but we keep on wanting to meet. This is the fourth Unitarian Universalist congregation that I have served. I started in Amado, Arizona, that's south of Tucson, and then Salt Lake City, and then I was in Reston, Virginia, and now I'm here. I really feel that it is so important to support our congregations financially because we need community, and this is one place where we can enjoy friendships and nurture each other's existence, and I hope that everybody will see the value of contributing to our stewardship pledge.
Thank you, Mary Lou. And now we are going to listen to the sound of our bowl once again, and I'm going to invite you into a different kind of time. We each come to this place with joys and sorrows, and I invite you to consider what is on your hearts and minds. And thank you. It takes a village. Thank you, Mary Ann Erickson. And you who are online, you are being given a chance to share the names that that you are thinking of. But first, let us enter into a time of meditation. Let us consider our feet on this earth that has held us for all of our years, that has held those marchers through the Montgomery bus boycott, that has held those children as they walked to school on that first day of desegregating schools in Little Rock, Arkansas, on the west side of New York, all over this country. Let us give thanks to this earth. And now I invite you to say the names of those who are on your hearts and minds, and I will read the names of those who are on our chat. I can't see the chat though. Oh, okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. If you have someone who's on your heart or mind, Leslie Grady will bring you a microphone. I didn't know if that was in place, and I'm glad it is. Thank you. And Heather, do you want to read the names of people who are, or I can't see the chat. There I can. Okay, Bobby Bollinger asks us to remember Jim and Mindy Rubin.
Sandy, Joyce, Janice, Shannon, Brad and Ruth, and Zell from Dan Reardon.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Sandy's always on our hearts and minds. and Tim Schirkenbach, who we lost this year, and his wife, Dina. Art?
Past resident of Manzanita Village and a member of Puff, Melvin Hill, passed away recently.
Melvin Hill.
Jack Stanton.
Yes, Jack Stanton.
My daughter Camille Swindell and her husband Josh, and their baby in the womb, Charlie Rose.
This is a daughter, Camille, and her husband and child, who is overdue. Thank you. Thank you. I know some of us remember those scary times when someone we loved had a baby that was waiting to come.
Louis Pierce.
Louis Pierce, Cindy Pierce's father, Louis.
Marcia Klein.
Marcia Klein, and that's from Robert Shigog, for those of you who are online and can't see what's happening.
Hazel Jones, my sister, who is not a sister.
Okay, and Hazel Jones, who is Annette Skellinger's sister.
Jane Keene's husband.
Oh, Jane Keene's husband, who just found out he had COVID. Ooh, and Kathleen has someone. And Russ has someone first.
My brother Roy and my sister Mary.
Okay, and Russ is asking for prayers for his brother and sister.
For BJ Allgood.
Oh, yes, let us hold BJ Allgood, who is having a retinal surgery this week on Wednesday. Okay, I believe that June Ruth, okay, we have some more names online. June Ruth, who is preparing to move to Willow Wind. She is that incredibly resilient woman who I believe is over 100 years old. And Dwayne Denny, Rick Denny's, is that your brother perhaps? Thank you, Rick. Okay, I gave those names. Okay, please join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Oh, I'm sorry, before that, June is only 96. Soon to be 100. Okay. Yes, please join me. Spirit of life, we are here in cyberspace gathering and in this sanctuary made holy by so many years of gathering as we shared one another's sorrows and our joys. In this moment, we hold this community and all those joys and sorrows among us. We also hold this country that is in need of racial justice and racial healing, and so much more healing and justice. We ask for the way to open so that we can all do our part. And we also ask for blessings on all those names who are unsaid. We say these things in your many names. Amen. And now we will sing the song that we sing together at this time, Walking with You. Walking with you is
And now it's the time for our offering. As we prepare to take the offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather here. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. This month's Seeds of Support will go to the Prescott Area Shelter Services. Please read about them in your order of service and the newsletter. If you are joining us remotely, you can give through our website or use the link provided in the chat on our Zoom. We acknowledge the generosity of spirit expressed through this offering. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maya Angelou.
President Clinton, all presidents, all excellencies, all friends, I wrote this piece for every human being on earth. We, this people, on a small and lonely planet, traveling through casual space, past aloof stars, across the way of indifferent suns, to a destination where all signs tell us it is possible and imperative that we discover a brave and startling truth. And when we come to it, to the day of peacemaking, when we release our fingers from fists of hostility and allow the pure air to cool our palms, when we come to it, when the curtain falls on the minstrel show of hate and faces sooted with scorn are scrubbed clean, when battlefields and coliseum no longer rake our unique and particular sons and daughters up with the bruised and bloody grass to lie in identical plots in foreign lands, when the rapacious storming of the churches, the screaming racket in the temples have ceased, when the pennants are waving gaily, when the banners of the world tremble stoutly in the good, clean breeze, when we come to it, when we let the rifles fall from our shoulders and children dress their dolls in flags of truce, when landmines of death have been removed and the aged may walk into evenings of peace, when the religious ritual is not perfumed by the incense of burning flesh, and childhood dreams are not kicked awake by nightmares of abuse, when we come to it, then we will confess that not the pyramids with their stones set in mysterious perfection, not the Garden of Babylon hanging as eternal beauty in our collective memory, not the Grand Canyon kindled into delicious color by western sunset, nor the Danube flowing its blue soul into Europe, not the sacred peak of Mount Fuji stretching to the rising sun, neither Father Amazon nor Mother Mississippi, who without favor nurture all creatures in the depths and on the shores. These are not the only wonders of the world. When we come to it, we, this people, on this minuscule and kithless globe, who reach daily for the bomb, the blade, the dagger, yet who petition in the dark for tokens of peace. We, this people, on this moat of matter, in whose mouths abide cankerous words which challenge our existence. Yet out of those same mouths can come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labor and the body is quieted into all. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling life is sapped from the living. Yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness that the haughty neck is happy to bow and the proud back is glad to bend. Out of such chaos, of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils nor divines. When we come to it, we, this people, on this wayward floating body, created on this earth, of this earth, have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely without sanctimonious piety and without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible. We are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it.
Angelo. I want to bring you in now to that experience of those young children, some only 6 years old, who desegregated the schools during the 40s, 50s, and 60s. This is from The Courageous Women Who Fought Segregation by Rachel Devlin. It's the words of Deborah Gray White, looking at what she did through desegregation through a political lens. I see what I did and what friends of mine did and those of my generation and the so-called only ones in the room, the firsts, that we made it possible for Barack Obama to be president. I've been living with these children for a couple of weeks, so apologize the closeness I feel to them. Today, she continues, some of these young Black students, they want to be individuals and they don't want to have to represent the group. I can empathize with that, and I don't blame them or wanting to do that. Because who the hell wants to carry the race around with you on your shoulders every single place you go? But because my generation did it, and because I did it, you are able to be whoever it is you want to be. And there are some times when I just want to say, and don't you damn forget, don't you dare forget it. And when Obama says that he stands on the shoulders of others, he doesn't just stand on the shoulders of Martin Luther King. He is standing on the shoulders of ordinary people like me and others who made it okay, who opened the workplace, who opened academe. You are standing on my shoulders. Thank you, Deborah Gray White. She was a first who was drafted in 1963 to desegregate her local public school on the west side of New York City. When she entered the school, she was led to believe that because of the tutoring she had achieved, she had her place in the white special classes. But that was not the case. As many of the children and youth who desegregated schools, she encountered enormous challenges. And soon she began to believe that she had been chosen for some reason but not because she was smart. She began subjecting herself to constant self-surveillance. She wrote, "You start to objectify yourself and trying to figure out how other people are perceiving you, and you're trying to be perceived as someone who is acceptable. It changes your personality from A to Z." At one point during her experience, she reacted by shutting down. I stopped talking. I just did. And yet, looking back on her time desegregating schools, she found meaning. She could say to President Barack Obama that he was not only standing on the shoulders of Martin Luther King, she could say, "You are standing on my shoulders." I wonder how many of you experienced the desegregation of America's public schools during the 40s, 50s, and 60s. In the 40s and 50s, I'd like to see some hands if I can. Okay, well, I'd love to hear your stories. Let's have some storytelling after this service. And those of you online, that would be a great topic for the breakout rooms. Segregated schools existed in almost every state. Some banned separate schools, others had permissive laws on school segregation. And then there were the states where segregation was mandatory. All of the states of the former Confederacy, as well as Delaware, Washington, D.C., and guess where? Arizona. Since the end of the Civil War, American grade schools had been an arena of ongoing litigation, including lawsuits filed by African Americans, Mexicans, Chinese, and Native American students. Between 1865 and 1935, 113 recorded legal cases involved school segregation and inequality. They were filed in 29 states. Peggy King George, who segregated a lower school in Albany, Georgia, which was a hot spot for the civil rights movement, she gives us a window into how children learn to behave in this world, how they were prepared for the work of desegregation. She said, "As a kid going to the supermarket, the A&P, it's very exciting. You like to pick out your own cereal. But then, as you got to the end of your shopping experience, you were thinking, okay, now we're getting to the checkout. Is the checkout girl going to call my mother by her first name? Is she going to engage in some sort of behavior that's going to try to diminish or degrade my mom? And if she did, we knew that my mother would either demand to see the manager or speak to her, or carry out some form of resistance. As a kid, it is tough to handle when everybody on all the other aisles, I want you to imagine being 6, having everyone on all the other aisles looking at you. But you learn from the experience. As you get older, you look back and realize, I took my cues from my parents. Many Black women believe that witnessing these daily encounters gave them their survival skills, especially those that they had to use in those formerly all-white schools. And they needed skills, but first they needed that surety that they were doing what was right. In Leake County, Mississippi, in the mid-1960s, the night before the schools were to be integrated, the whites went out and harassed everybody. All the families with children who were planning to participate in the desegregation backed out, except for one family. When Jean Fairfax, an NAACP organizer, sat down in their kitchen, she says there was this silence. And then the daughter, Deborah, who was 6 years old, said, "Well, what's everybody waiting for? I'm ready to go." 6 years old. And Gail Vavassar Jones, who desegregated Baton Rouge High School in 1963. Some of you may remember the desegregation of Baton Rouge High School. She decided to join over the objections of her mother. She recalls, "I just felt in my heart, in my soul, that it was something I had to do. I had to do. If I didn't do it, who was going to do it?" These children and youth who segregated the schools experienced every kind of behavior meant to make someone feel that they did not belong. Other students spit on them and physically manhandled them. They were cruelly excluded by both the teachers and students. And just like our own children or siblings, or those of us who have had those experiences ourselves, those students did not share what was going on with their parents. They probably said when they came home, "I'm fine," or "It was okay." But they came home bruised both physically and emotionally. One student described a teacher holding a handkerchief to her nose when she passed her. The white children ostracized them. They were called the N-word all day long, and that word was written on their lockers. School lunchrooms were places of suffering. When a Black child sat down, the white students moved to another table. At one high school, the Black students powerfully turned this around by each of them sitting at a different table until all the white students were having to stand and eat their lunches. Let's watch some footage from that famous Little Rock Nine.
What about you, sir? Do you think the colored students will show up? If I got anything to do with it, they won't show up. Well, I think it's a breaking point of the school integration. I just don't feel that they have a right to go to school.
It is easy to believe today that we are an enlightened society, free from problems of race, gender, or economic separation. But some of the most difficult lessons we learn are a result of individuals who push us through these divisive barriers. In September of 1957, 9 Black school children, the eldest only 17, forced us through such a blockade. They sought a better education for themselves and the opportunity to pursue the American dream.
This is Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas. Troops, which for nearly 3 weeks lined the sidewalk here in front of the high school under orders to keep the colored students out, have been replaced now. And their orders to comply with the law, which means let the Negro students in if they come in.
We were Terrence Roberts, Jefferson Thomas, Thelma Mothershed, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green, Carlotta Walls, Melba Patillo, Minnie Jean Brown, and Gloria Ray.
They became known as the Little Rock Nine. The 1954 Supreme Court ruling on Brown versus the Board of Education found segregation of schools unconstitutional. But as the Little Rock Nine approached the high school, segregationists swarmed the campus.
They got no business out here. This is our school, not theirs. They are their own.
As the violence escalated, one schoolgirl, Elizabeth Eckford, was threatened by an angry mob chanting, "Lynch her, lynch her." President Dwight Eisenhower intervened in Little Rock and set a precedent for our nation as a whole.
Such an extreme situation has been created in Little Rock. This challenge must be met, and with such measures as will preserve to the people as a whole their lawfully protected rights in a climate permitting their free and fair exercise. In the present case, the troops are there pursuant to law, solely for the purpose of preventing interference with the orders of the court.
On September 25, 1957, the 101st Airborne Division and 10,000 National Guard troops escorted the Little Rock Nine as they walked bravely past screaming mobs and made their way to the classrooms of Little Rock Central High School.
Just got a report here on this end that the students are in.
Do you feel it's worth it going through this?
Yes, I do.
These 9 heroes were willing to step forward and in doing so altered the course of history. Marquette University is honored to bestow upon them the Pierre Marquette Discovery Award for this extraordinary contribution to the advancement of education for all people. The Little Rock Nine stand not just for racial equality, but also for the promise upon which our society is founded: opportunity and equality for all willing to strive, struggle, and achieve.
I hear talk of the divide in this country like it is something new. I invite you to read this book. And now that you know a little more about the history of these young people, I hope that you saw them differently. Their nonchalant manner was covering the great sacrifice that they were making. For some, the experience of desegregation soured them on education entirely, and they gave up plans for higher education. The experience changed everyone's lives. And there is another aspect. As important as this step was, since then, just as after the Emancipation Proclamation, systems have been finding new ways to shift back to segregation with religious schools, charter schools. It is also important to understand that for some, the loss of all Black schools when they worked well was huge. For it was the loss of Black teachers who believed in them, who believed in their capabilities and their dreams. I wonder, what do we do in the face of this history beyond just understanding it? Once again, Archbishop Desmond Tutu offers us a concept that leads to the next step, a concept that transformed South Africa. In the Archbishop's words, from an ugly caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly. Ubuntu, that connectedness among us and with everything else, the giving and the receiving and the gratitude. Here we find in Ubuntu that reciprocity among humans that Robin Wall Kimmerer describes between humans and the natural world in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass. And in living this Ubuntu out, this incredible reciprocity, we find another R word, reparations. We will need to make a spiritual practice of living out Ubuntu. I am because we are. It is our responsibility as relatives to take care of each other. There are many ways to do reparations on a personal level. You can look for organizations that are making a difference in communities of color and support them. I found a wonderful example of this in Detroit. Dewan Dandridge met the Armstrongs in 2013 when they were new to the city. Kevin, a pastor, had grown up in Flint, and he was starting a ministry at Wayne State University. Dewan Dandridge heads up the Black Leadership Detroit Fund. The organization offers grants and no-interest loans to city businesses and nonprofits to help them break down those barriers to make a social impact and to help them succeed. They are channeling resources in support of Black-owned businesses. Dewan says, we were able to give out $218,000 to Black entrepreneurs in the year of the pandemic. And now they'll be able to invest even more. The Armstrong family and their ministry have been called to Colorado, and they're leaving their Detroit home. They bought it 8 years ago for $100,000. And they just sold it for $400,000. The Armstrongs knew that they wanted to use some of the money from the sale of their house to make a difference. And that's when their old friend and mentor approached them about what he thought, how he thought they could do just that. And so the Armstrongs wrote a check to Black Leaders Detroit for $100,000. And they said about this, that being able to give was a gift. This is what reparations on a personal level looks like. It looks like joy. I hope you look up this, it's on the Detroit News. But he really says, they gave us this gift, and he and his wife feel such joy. I hope that we are each able to find these ways, these gifts. In doing what was right in the moment, those who desegregated the schools overcame not only segregation, they became connected with the web of life. For the majority of grade school and high school desegregators, the anger and depression that they felt naturally from that experience over time was supplanted by compassion, a sense of connection with all kinds of people, and a conviction that what they accomplished by attending these white schools was necessary. Rita Gidros White of Estroma High School in Baton Rouge says, I think it made me a more caring person for others, especially where children are concerned. They brought enlarged and humane perspectives to the work of the rest of their lives. They gave and they received. It is my hope on this historic day that when these opportunities are in front of each of us, that we will act with courage as we did with Miller Valley School. And if you don't know about that experience, there's a sermon I can send you to that is on YouTube. That we face these opportunities with courage and not shy away from the difficult situations and conversations. I also believe that we all need to be searching for ways of making reparation. I believe that that work will liberate our lives and this country from the burdens of the past and bring us as a nation to more joy. I wonder if that could mean that in the future we would feel that someone is standing on our shoulders. May we seek such experiences. May we see the opportunities when they appear in front of us, and give thanks for those who have gone before, who risked everything to make change. Let us honor the courage of the pioneers of desegregation. And as Deborah Gray-White asked, don't you damn forget. Don't you dare forget. Amen. And may it be so.
So we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, if you'll bear with me for a couple minutes, I'll get the breakout rooms going.